Hey, I want to talk about one of the biggest myths of being a landlord or even being an Airbnb host, but it's being a landlord. And the biggest myth about being a landlord is that tenants are terrible. They're a headache. And having done it for 20 plus years, I know I've come on here and complained about tenants and guests, etc. But all that being said, the majority of my experience with tenants and Airbnb guests has been great. Good 99% of my experiences with tenants and Airbnb guests have been awesome. It's just like the 1%. I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and some of my friends that are probably seeing this, I've had this conversation. It's the 1% that you remember, and the 1% that sticks in your craw. But like any investment, there's risk, right? You want to buy stock, there's risk. You want to buy Bitcoin, there's risk. You know, any investment you make, there's a little bit of risk. With a real estate investment, it's the same thing. And if you're going to be investing in rental properties, that's part of the risk, that you'll get a bad tenant. You can mitigate that risk, and I've tried to do that throughout my time as a landlord and Airbnb Super Host. And it's just be diligent about the way you pick your tenants. Um, do all the legwork on it. And even when you do that, sometimes it still doesn't pan out. But that's all part of it. But the reward is worth it in the end. And when I was starting out, I knew nothing, zero, about finding a tenant. I knew nothing about what to look for. I looked it up and I asked people and I figured it out, and I had 99% awesome experience. Some of my tenants I still speak to. And the 1% I don't. But like stuff comes up. And the other thing is when things come up, it's usually like one of 10 things are going to be an issue. It's always the same 10 things. The heat's not working. Something's wrong with the toilet. The one of the locks aren't working. It's that's the great thing I love about real estate. It's a finite bunch of problems or challenges that you have to deal with. It's not how long is a piece of string. Now and then there's a weird anomaly that might come up with a tenant that just throws you for a loop. But the majority of the time, it's usually the same kind of thing. And after you've done it for a while, you go, all right, I know how to fix that. Oh, right, the AC's not working. I got to change the filter. Oh, I changed the filter and the AC's not working. Oh, there's a Freon leak. You learn as you go. So anyways, going back to the whole thing about one of the greatest myths are tenants are terrible. They're not. And it's just the thing about the Ontario rules and a lot of rules around the country, it really doesn't encourage landlords to become landlords because they put a lot of power in the tenant's hands. And I'm totally for that. I was a tenant for the longest time. I was a tenant I was 19 till I was about 30. My landlord, when I look back on it, he was good, but kind of the fixes that he made to my place, I didn't know any better. And they were shitty fixes when I look back at it. But I'd be late on rent, and he'd wait, and he'd come by every day, every month, beginning of the month. He'd walk by and walk around and collect checks. That's back in the day. There's no e-transfers. So was I the best tenant? No. I tried to be, but sometimes shit happens. And they were understanding, and I'm understanding of my tenants. So all I'm saying is don't be afraid to get into real estate investing if you're worried about bad tenants. You do some research, learn from folks like me, do all your due diligence. Most likely you'll get a great tenant. And there's other things you can do while you have that tenant to, foster that relationship. And I'll go into that in other videos. But yeah, it's not terrible. It could be great. People have been doing it for decades, if not centuries, renting out places to other people, and it's worked out. So don't let that get in your way. If you want to get into it. For the most part, it's going to be a positive experience. That's all I got. Bye.